اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعلني وزيرا من أهلي. Assalamu alaikum. Now I'm going to show you something that looks like a mistake in the Qur'an, but just wait for it before I answer you, before I completely decide whether it's a mistake or not. The three verses, I'm going to compare them. The first one is Surah Taha chapter 20 verse 70, which says, this is the story of, by the way, Musa alayhi salam with the magicians. They had a competition and the magicians, they lost and then they fell in prostration. So this story goes like this. This is one of the verses. So the magicians fell down in prostration, declaring, we believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses. And now this is what you have to notice. What did the magicians historically say? You have to notice the order of this. Aaron was first and then Moses. However, if you go to Surah Shu'ara verse chapter number 26 verse 48, we see they declared, we now believe in the Lord of all the worlds, the Lord of Moses and Aaron. This is what they said in Surah Shu'ara, which is opposite to what they said in Surah Taha. And likewise, we have Surah Araf. It's the same thing. They said Lord of Moses and Aaron. So Surah Araf is Moses and Aaron. Surah Shu'ara is Moses and Aaron. And Surah Taha is Aaron and Moses. Now the question is this a historical mistake? What did the magicians actually say? Why are these orders flipped around? Now before I answer that question, let me show you a beautiful thing. Now this example is like a gemstone. See, if you keep rotating a gemstone, you can see the different angles of its beauty only when you rotate and see it from different angles. Now I'm going to show you three different angles here. The first angle is the angle of context. If you see Surah Taha, which says Aaron first and then Moses, if you see the surah, its context, its entire context runs in the story of Aaron along with Moses, because it's not only Moses, but Aaron goes with him. I'll show you how. Because all of these verses are mentioning, not all, maybe not all, but many of them mention Aaron in their context. So you see, Moses prayed, uplift my heart for me. This is Surah Taha. Make my task easy, and so on and so forth. And until you continue seeing its context, grant me helper for my family, Aaron my brother, strengthen me through him, let him share my task, we may glorify you, etc., etc. And then they continue, the verses continue until we go to go forth you and your brother, go both of you, so on and so forth. If you keep looking at the entire context, who is the Lord of you too? So in this context, in this surah, Aaron is mentioned a lot. However, if you see Surah Shu'ara, the context of Shu'ara, where Moses is mentioned first, you see from the beginning, let me refresh it so we can get it in English. Let me check the settings here. So we have here from the beginning of Surah Taha, from verse number 10 onwards. Remember when your Lord called out to Moses, Surah Shu'ara. All of this is in the context of Musa. Most of the time Musa is mentioned. He says, didn't I raise you amongst us? Did we not raise you amongst us? And you did this. And he says, who is your Lord? What is the Lord of the worlds? And etc., etc. There is hardly any mention of Harun. It's only in the context of Musa alayhi salam. He is indeed a skilled magician who seeks to drive from the land. And let me see. And Moses said to them. So in this context, you hardly see. Then Moses threw his staff. And so accordingly he came here and he says, Lord of Moses and Jesus. The magician said this. So what I'm trying to show you is Surah Taha, where Aaron is mentioned first and Moses next. The magicians say Aaron first and Moses next. In this context, in the entire chapter, Aaron is mentioned along with Moses many times. However, in this chapter Shu'ara, when Moses is mentioned first, most of the time Aaron is not mentioned. That's why it was appropriate to bring Moses here first. This is the first thing, subhanallah. And you can check the context of Araf yourself as well. I don't want to make this video a very long one. The second point is, you see the way it ends, the verse in Arabic, the way it's ending in Surah Taha is Haruna wa Musa. You get the sound of Musa, right? If you put Aaron first and Moses second, Moses comes at the end of the verse, so the sound becomes Musa. And you see Surah Taha. This is Surah Taha, right? Most of this chapter is ending with If you see a lot of the verses in the chapter end with Thumma hada, Ula, Yansa. So it even coincides with the linguistic, the phonetics of the surah. Subhanallah, both these things are taken care of. One, the context. Second, the sounds in chapter 20 Surah Taha also go along with Moses being at the end, because if it was Aaron at the end, it would be Harun, which would break that voice. The third thing is, in this Surah Taha, we have the mention of Moses as being afraid in Surah Taha, specifically mentioning him being afraid. As you can see, let me show you. This is Surah Taha, verse number 2067. So Moses concealed fear within himself. We assured him, do not fear, it is certainly you who will prevail, right? So there is fear, and when there is fear, it's as though they're putting forward Aaron, who's not mentioned here as being afraid, but Moses is being afraid. It's as though mentioning Aaron first. It's as though putting the one who's afraid behind, putting the one whose fear is not mentioned ahead. Subhanallah, it's like this, right? It's like the context even shows Moses being afraid, so he's on the back foot, and Aaron being brought forward. Subhanallah. So this is what I'm trying to show you. Look, although now let me answer this question. Is this a historical mistake? What did the magicians say? Did they say we believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses, or did they say Moses and Aaron? It doesn't really matter. You know why? They could have said both of them. It's easy. There are so many magicians. Some would have said Aaron and Moses. Some could have said Moses and Aaron. Or it could be the same magicians. In the beginning, they could have said it twice, thrice, or many times. Once they said we believe in the Lord of Moses and Aaron, and later on they may have said we believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses. It could have been either. So historically, it doesn't matter. Both can be accurate. However, now you see, linguistically, the context is correct for each of the verses. Number two, in Surah Taha, you see even the linguistic phonetics work for it, putting Aaron before Moses. And thirdly, even the fear of Moses in Taha makes bringing Aaron first more linguistically accurate. Subhanallah. Now this is what I'm trying to show you is, there's so many angles of accuracy. How can a human being, if this was the word of if this was something written and invented by a human being, the Qur'an, how can you take care of so many angles? Linguistics, the context, the phonetics, and the context of the story. How can you build about such perfection? This is my question to you. It's not possible for a human being to do this. Like, how can you bring in so many angles and put them together? Let me know in the comments. I challenge you, go and ask an atheist. Even a book. Look, we are saying this Quran has not only these miracles, other linguistic miracles, scientific, numerical, all of them. Forget all of them. I ask atheists. Please go and ask any atheist and write it down in the comment. Any book which takes care of even one of these angles while the author wrote that book. Any book that we know the author of, there's some human author, worldly author, and I ask you to show me such a book. The Quran is so much more than that, but okay, even one of these angles, if any book satisfies on this planet, please show me, write it down in the comments so I know if there is such a book on this planet. So this is what I'm trying to show you. The Quran is not merely a book that you just read and recite and put it down, that's it, you're done. No, it's a book you could see deeply. When you see deeply into it, you will find wonders beyond your imagination. Subhanallah, may Allah give us that complete conviction in the Quran as the word of God. And this so-called mistake in the Quran, something that could have been seen as a historical mistake, was in fact put there deliberately to point out to us, hey, look, there's something different. Think about it. Why? It wasn't not a mistake. This mistake was there to reveal the beauty of the Quran, the divinity of the Quran. And sometimes the Hufad, the one who memorized the Quran, they can get confused with these things, but these things are really truly there to reveal the beauty of the Quran rather than exposing the mistakes of the Quran. So may Allah give us complete conviction in the Quran as the word of God. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.